Everything you're about to see on this video is a combination of my 40 years of study of the published literature, as well as 30 years worth of patient contact as a colorectal surgeon. I'm not here to diagnose or treat anyone. I'm here for educational purposes only because no manner of brains is worth a good set of bells. Hey, it's Dr. Toker, your friendly neighborhood colorectal surgeon, and I am on a mission to educate the world in terms of gut health and the microbiome and how that impacts your daily life. I certainly hope you will join me on this journey, but you're going to have to buckle up, Buttercup. We're talking gut stuff. And today, the gut stuff we are going to talk about is an Encore presentation. So wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Let me show my face so you know who's talking. We're going to go through basically an encore presentation of an enhanced recovery after injury and surgery. And this is one of the first presentations I did on a live format, but I did not have slides. There's no recording of it. And I thought, you know what, it'd be maybe nice to get this in a format that I can now show for YouTube and Rumble, and then also to have an audio version for my Spotify crew, as all of my Thursday morning live lectures. It is sponsored by a company called Super Patch, and this is the original reason that I started using Super Patch in my practice, and also the main reason that I came to grow an association on the medical board of Super Patch, because I do sit on their medical board. And most of you know who I am by now, but I do robotic colorectal surgery, and I know it seems so odd that I'm dedicating all this time online. Some of that is thanks to sponsors such as Super Patch that allow me to go on an educational mission, sort of a spiritual act of mercy, so to speak, because right now we live in an environment where there's a lot of information, but a lot of it is not super duper accurate. There's a lot of distrust, unfortunately, of the medical community, and there are certain people to blame for that, not me, but of whom I speak. And so that means there's a barrier between your understanding of anatomy and physiology as a layperson and the way we, in allopathic medicine in particular, will use anatomy and physiology to improve medical conditions. Like there's a gulf of information. There are very few allopathic doctors and surgeons, or allopathic doctors, who will utilize kind of an Eastern philosophy of medicine and naturopathic or herbal medicine. And there are precious few Eastern naturopathic and herbal doctors who will engage in prescriptions or even surgery. And the reality is you kind of need all three of those things, to be frank. Don't put yourself in a box. You need to know all three. So this is one of those rare events where you get to talk to somebody who does that. And in surgery, now I have been in private practice for over 20 years. I finished medical school 28 years ago. 27 years ago, I'm in my 28th year after graduating medical school. So I've been around the block a few times. One of the things that to me is important for my ability to sleep at night, to be honest, is how well my patients do. Complications do occur. There's no such thing as a doctor who has no complications. But if you can minimize those complications and then have a care plan going forward if a complication were to occur, that is probably the best form of medicine. And so that's what I strive for. One of the things that we do in the world of surgery is we try to enhance a person's natural ability to heal after either injury or surgery, and surgery is just a controlled injury, and we call that enhanced recovery after surgery. And so we have a set protocol in place, most of us, as far as the way we coordinate the surgeon and the anesthesiologist, the surgeon and the internist on the floor, the patient before and after surgery with recovery. And so this is a very coordinated event. It's one of the reasons elective surgery just tends to go better than emergency surgery, because we have an opportunity to coordinate. If you have injured yourself, or if you have an impending surgery, or perhaps you've just had surgery, you may not have heard any of these words, because very few surgeons, even when they're engaged in this enhanced recovery protocol, they may not be talking to you about what the hell is going on. So that is my job. We're going to talk about that today, and how Super Patch, as a non-medicated, non-narcotic, is going to help this process. Okay. Anytime you have an injury, whether it's on purpose or it's an accident, a series of things has to happen for your body to heal. It's one of the miraculous things about your body, is that you could hurt yourself and it can heal. Your body is constantly replacing the cells, constantly revising incisions and scars and injuries to make yourself sort of a better functioning entity. Your body just naturally does this. Okay, you can help that process. I promise. There's just a few things that you have to do. Okay. This is the healing sequence. Are you ready? So first thing that happens is your body has an injury. Injury occurs. First and foremost, let's not bleed to death from this injury, right? So blood vessels are going to get injured as a result of any injury, and your body has to stop this bleeding. So hemostasis occurs. Now, because there was an injury, because the blood flow was interrupted, because you had to clot off a bunch of blood flow, you're going to have a little area or a big area there that no longer has viability. It's no longer sort of vascularized living tissue. There might be foreign objects in there. If, you scraped your knee on the ground, now there's dirt in your wound, et cetera, et cetera. This is called debris. And small amounts of debris your body is capable of getting rid of. Large amounts of debris might need another person to come and pluck the thorn out of your hand, or, remove whatever shard of a car accident, broken glass, whatever the case may be, in your system. Okay, so clearing of debris. Okay, now you got a nice, fresh, clean wound. Now what happens? Your body has to make a little scaffolding. That scaffolding is made out of a very particular type of protein, and there's 3 versions of this protein, called collagen. Okay, so you need to have among these versions of collagen to heal a wound. And then on this scaffolding, your body will recreate soft tissue. Now, it uses what we call pluripotent stem cells. Your body is constantly making these cells. They're just like little blob cells. They can be anything you want to. You just have to program it. So those cells get sent off to areas of inflammation, and based on the location, the inflammatory markers that are there, the surrounding tissue, and that scaffolding, that cell will know what to turn into. How can you say there's not a creator? That is amazing. Like, I don't even know how they do that. It's just amazing. Okay. All right. So now that you know the steps of healing, what are you going to do to complete that system? Like, right, you've got to get through the sequence of events from start to finish. A lot can go wrong. This inflammatory system that gets sent along its way can get thrown off the wheels in so many different ways, between infection or too much inflammation or not enough inflammation, or you didn't build the scaffolding right. There's a whole bunch of different things that can occur. So, if you are injured, if you've had a surgery, you want to make that sequence of events go through there as smoothly as possible to get the optimal outcome as quickly as possible with the least likely complication and deformity of your body. Okay, so that's our goal when we operate on patients, or if you've had a trauma, how you want to heal. Step one, you got to hydrate. Now, this is something that you personally are in charge of. Now, when you're having a surgery, yes, we're going to give you IV fluids. And right after a surgery, you might not be able to eat. We're going to give you IV fluids. You're at home. You ain't got no IV fluids. You're going to have to hydrate yourself. Okay. All chemical reactions take place in an aqueous environment. In your body, you need a fluid environment for these proteins to meet up and the little reactions to occur. You've got to have both water and the salts that are involved. Okay, so it's water and electrolytes that you need to consume. When you are well hydrated, it does help step two, which is blood flow. So, blood flow means that you've got to have intact blood vessels. Blood flow also means you've got to be hydrated. And then blood flow also means those cellular components shouldn't want to stick together. They shouldn't want to form a clot where it doesn't belong. They shouldn't want to freely bleed when you're not supposed to bleed. So, blood flow is important. Okay. Blood brings nutrients, salts, enzymes, immune cells, protein, oxygen to tissue, and then whisks away toxins, carbon dioxide, and the like. Okay, so it is the highway that gets your Amazon driver to your house, and it is also the highway that gets the garbage collector to take things away. Just to put that in modern parlances. If you think of blood flow like little roads, and they go from big roads to smaller roads to smaller roads to farm to market roads to little unpaved driveways, this is the blood flow system. When you've had a trauma and injury or a surgery, this process gets interrupted by definition. Okay. What can you, the individual, do to encourage normal blood flow? The first is if you smoke, now's the time to quit smoking. Smoking is terrible for blood flow. So are stimulants like caffeine. Okay. These things cause the blood vessels to squinch down real tight. That's the sympathetic nervous system. Stress. If you're super duper stressed, you're limiting the blood flow to these organs. So that's why we want you nice and relaxed. I educate my patients around the time of surgery simply for the stress factor alone. A lot of people, like, maybe they don't want to hear like all the gory details about what we're going to do, but I like to make sure they understand each step along the way so they're not like a cat on a hot tin roof. What's about to happen to me next? Right? Because that's stressful. You want to know what all the steps are. So get rid of your stress. Make sure you exercise. Make sure you sleep. All of these things are going to improve blood flow. There is a molecule, it was the molecule of the year. I want to say that was like 30 years ago, called nitric oxide. It's extraordinarily short acting molecule, and your body naturally makes it, but it is a vascular dilating or vascular relaxing molecule. It tells smooth muscle, and your blood vessels are made out of smooth muscle, to relax. And that improves blood flow. Okay. The parasympathetic nervous system also will help you improve blood flow, particularly to the internal organs. So, relaxation, getting your sleep, limiting your stress, hydrating, avoiding certain things such as caffeine and smoking. Those will all improve your ability to have blood flow to this area while it's trying to heal. So, one of the first stops on the super patch highway, and this is kind of a cool concept. These super patches, the way they work, there's no medicine in them at all. There is a tactile sensation that when you put it on your skin, your skin sends a signal in a pattern. So the pattern that goes on your skin gets sent to your brain in that same pattern, and it tells your brain something about a particular aspect of your autonomic nervous system. Blood flow happens to have its own little pathway. The immunologic system, those cells get to places by way of the blood flow. So when you injure yourself, after you've stopped the bleeding, that's the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system has to get in there some way, somehow, to get immune cells to the area, to get the building blocks to the area. And all of that is controlled by the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. The super patch called a defend patch can help improve this. The studies that they've done to visualize this in action are these blood smear tests where without the patch, if they do a blood smear, you can see red blood cells sort of stuck together in what we call rouleau formation. That's a sign of inflammation. These little clogged together corpuscles will prevent blood flow, especially down the smaller little blood vessels. With this patch on, that same patient, that same day, just a few minutes later, same blood smear will show no further rouleau formation. So there's something about the autonomic nervous system that causes blood cells to kind of clot together because of sympathetic nervous tone. And when you tell just the right part of the autonomic nervous system to come into play in a parasympathetic pathway, it can undo some of those things to back in the normal range. This is not gonna make you hyperimmune. You cannot take this and expose yourself to Ebola and assume that you're not gonna get Ebola. It's not a this does not prevent you from getting a disease. What this is doing is improving your body's ability to coordinate all the different parts of your body and all the different cells down those little vascular highways, and your immune system requires that. So the defend patch can improve this particular aspect of the healing pathway. Um, the next step that needs to happen is going to be the building blocks themselves. You've gotta have amino acids. If you remember, I talked about collagen. Well, that's part of it. But then there's also all the different proteins, all these cells have to put together. You need amino acids, you need fats, you need carbohydrates, you need proper nutrition. But for fact, you've got to have good amino acids because they are the building blocks of this collagen. Okay. So you need to have a good whole food source of protein. In an ideal world, you're adding to that some hydrolyzed collagen with both vitamin C and hyaluronic acid. If you are a vegetarian, this is not possible because collagen doesn't really exist in the vegetarian world. This is an animal protein. You can take a full 20 amino acid protein. Vitamin C, of course, is from vegetables, as is hyaluronic acid can be found in sweet potatoes. So you can get these components from a non-animal source. Okay, so if you're a vegetarian, I don't want you to think, oh my God, I'm having surgery next week. What am I going to do? That's your answer. Okay. Protein shakes. I'm a big fan of adding protein. It's very hard. I suggest people who are trying to heal an injury get 1 to 2 grams of protein per pound body weight. That's a lot, okay? So, at least a gram per pound body weight, okay? So, if you weigh 150 pounds, you want 150 grams of protein. That is very hard to get down the hatch. I'm not saying that for every day of your life, but if you are injured, that means you're under stress. If you're in Europe watching this, it's in kilogram body weight, it's 2 grams. So a stressed patient should be getting between 1.5 and 2 grams per of protein per kilogram body weight, which in America just a gram a pound. Okay, that's the easiest way to sort of figure it out. Without doing advanced math. I'm a doctor. Okay, just don't make me do advanced math. Okay, intestinal function and absorption is critical. All right. If your intestinal tract is not absorbing nutrients, you can't heal. If you have too much inflammation in your intestinal tract, you are sucking up all the stem cells in your body to your intestinal tract and depriving those guys from making it to where the injury is. If you have too much inflammation in your intestinal tract, your blood sugar will be out of control. Okay. So there's a lot of different things that play into the health of your intestinal tract. You also want a balanced microbiome because a balanced microbiome helps you mitigate stress, helps you sleep properly, helps get you all the cofactors you need by way of vitamins. A healthy microbiome also calms down inflammation of the intestinal tract. So, a healthy microbiome is important. I'll give myself a self plug. Since I'm the one talking, I will give myself a plug. I do have an online program. It's come and go as you would like. I do post videos from time to time on unique content to this group. I haven't figured out how to do it properly live and not lose track of my brain. So I just randomly upload videos. We probably have 20 or 30 different videos that you've not seen if you follow me on any social media platform. So it is unique content. It's 100 different daily conversations on different aspects of microbiome, intestinal health, how that plays with the rest of your body, and the way your health interacts with the microbiome, your brain, your intestinal tract. And so that is available online. You can follow that QR code to find that. And that will help you sleep better, improve your focus, and improve your overall well being. So please do join me there for unique content. It's buy it once, it's yours forever. And that won't last forever because as soon as I figure out how to do online platform stuff, some of my programming will be subscription only. But if you belong to the gut check people, then it's yours for life. You'll have a back door. That'll be my grandfather clause to the new to my old and faithfuls. Trace minerals, micronutrients, gotta have them. Okay, so it's not enough to have proteins, fats, and carbs. You gotta have the minerals, zinc, iron, magnesium, calcium, copper, selenium, chromium helps as well. Manganese helps as well. So these things are all important to bodily function because these metals are cofactors for different enzymatic reactions. And in the modern life, we're supposed to get these nutrients from plants and animals that we consume, but our soil has been sort of over farmed and there's not as many of these very important nutrients in our diets. And so I do suggest a supplement. If you can find a whole food supplement for these trace minerals, please do so. But that's incredibly important. I put on here the list of things that you need, including potassium, sodium, chromium, selenium, copper, iron, manganese, zinc, calcium, magnesium. These are all important. In a well-balanced diet, you can find these things. But in the modern world, it really depends on the quality of your food while you're healing an injury. It's probably a good idea, especially the zinc and the magnesium, for fact, we're deficient in. You want to try to control your inflammatory response. Okay, so when inflammation, and this is where COVID went wrong, right? So people would get an inflammatory response from COVID that would just go nuts. That was the problem. So people who have a little bit of baseline inflammation, that little baseline is what went nuts during the last 4 years, both the natural disease and the man-made, quote unquote, preventative, without getting banned for saying that out loud. If it contained a spike protein or something that your body used to create a spike protein, no matter how you chop up these words, it's irrelevant. If spike protein was in your body does not like that. And as your body defends against that protein, it ramps up inflammation everywhere in your body. So that people who have inflamed intestinal tracts find themselves with diarrhea. And people maybe who are struggling with heart disease will find themselves having heart attacks and arrhythmias. And people who have inflammation in their vascular disease are getting clotting disorders. You see where I'm going? So inflammation, when out of control, kills you. So we want to control that inflammatory response. You've got to have some of it, but you want to have it under controlled scenario. This is where that defend patch comes in so critically. Okay, the defend patch comes in so critically. It's probably important to say that these patches can be used at any age, no matter what medicine you're on, and even in pregnancy. There's no medicine in this. It's not going to make something hyper immune defense. It's not going to make something super chill if you're already calm. All it's doing is taking a pathway that's out of whack and putting it back into whack, for lack of better words. Right? So if you're an anxious person and you're under stress, that peace patch will calm that down. And now you feel fine. If you're calm as the day is long and you really don't get your feathers ruffled, you won't even realize you're wearing a peace patch. You won't be able to feel it. There will be no effect. Why? Because that's not a pathway that's out of whack for you. So when you're injured, by definition, things are kind of starting to get a little wonky. Why? Because your body's trying to coordinate a lot of things. You do want to coordinate that pathway, defend path, very helpful. If you're feeling under the weather, you're starting to get the flu. This defend patch, very helpful in helping your body control without letting the wheels fall off. Eating a clean diet, extremely important, especially the gluten-free. If you've heard any of our lectures, you've heard me rattle on about gluten-free. And if you can do it during the post-operative period, go grain-free, milk-free, and you may or may not have to be egg-free, depending on where the eggs come from. If you feed chickens grain, those eggs will have some of those inflammatory proteins in them. Okay. So you just want to make sure you're eating as clean as possible, understanding we're trying to control inflammation and the immune response. Now, pain. Pain is caused by inflammation. Pain is caused by swelling. And then pain is also caused by a certain portion of the brain. So there was a recent study that said 80% of chronic pain in particular has a neurologic component, not of the peripheral nervous system, but of the central nervous system. Okay. It is the pain portion after surgery that is so vexing. Okay. Because when you're in pain, you're in stress. And when you're in stress, you can't heal a wound. Unfortunately, narcotic pain medicines cause all kinds of complications, including increasing the inflammatory response, addictive behavior, slowing the ability for the immune system to heal. So narcotics are not good, and we've known this for a long time. I have not written for narcotics as an outpatient for a good maybe longer, 6 or 7 years now. There are just ample studies that say the fewer narcotics you take after an injury, the better your outcome's going to be, the quicker you're going to heal. So our pathway for enhanced recovery is to limit narcotics. Now, sometimes, you got to, I just cut you. So, obviously, there's going to be some narcotics involved. What we don't want to do is have that as our only option and you're choking down narcotics the entire time you're trying to heal after a surgery, because that is damaging and dangerous to you. So to control our pain, we want to be able to limit the swelling. So if you have a peripheral object that is injured, ankle, wrist, try to elevate it. Wrap it with an ACE wrap. Use ice. The purpose of that is all to decrease swelling. Swelling is pain. If you've just had butt surgery, and I do a lot of butt surgery, swelling is pain. It's very hard to elevate your butt, and it's very hard to put pressure on your butt. So I make people do little wedgies, Cold wedgies, if it'll freeze and it will wedgie, put that up against your incision, and that has a tendency to calm down some of the swelling. You want blood flow and you want heat to the area because that helps relax the muscles. So you want to alternate heat, ice, heat, ice. This way we're getting relaxation of muscles as well as cold to stop inflammation. Some surgeries do not lend themselves to heat, like joint replacements or major abdominal surgeries, because we don't want the wounds to get wet. So it becomes very tricky. In those instances, we tend to use ice more than anything else. So ask your doctor if you just had a surgery, is it appropriate to use heat? Is it appropriate to use ice? And what we're trying to do is quell some swelling, quell the swell, and hopefully calm down inflammation. And when we do those things, we can control our pain. Muscle relaxation helps control pain. And so magnesium in your life will help with muscle relaxation. We also want to limit our stress because stress can psychologically worsen our pain. Okay, one of the things, and this is how I met the creator of Super Patch, is this very patch. Because as a surgeon, I'm always looking for narcotic-free ways to relieve pain in my patients, and they happen to have an answer to that. Between the peace patch, which limits your stress in the postoperative period, and this freedom patch, which tells your brain to calm down. 80% of chronic pain is coming from your brain. And this patch sends a signal to your brain that says, they're there. You don't have to have pain today. Okay. And it is extraordinary. This stuff is extraordinarily effective. This patch is the only one that has to specifically go as close to the pain as humanly possible for acute pain. If your whole body hurts and it's chronic pain, 80% of that is related to a signal that keeps firing in your brain. This patch sends an interfering signal to break that sort of circular thought. Okay. If it's acute pain, put this as close to the pain as possible. And then that way your brain can kind of organize, okay, this is an injury. I don't need to reset this circular logic and set up chronic pain. So it's extraordinarily effective. And again, it doesn't have any narcotics in it, doesn't have any blood thinners in it. It can be used at any age, basically, under almost any circumstances. And really the hard part is, how do you get it into some parts of your body, like your cheeky buttons? Because, I operate on cheeky buttons. Not easy to get this close. It may take a few days to figure it out, the best place to put it. Okay, you put it someplace, you leave it for 24 hours. If you didn't quite hit the spot, try to move it to a slightly different location the next day and keep track. It's going to help you map where that pain source is coming from to help decrease your pain. Is it perfect? No, it is not. But after a few days, most patients, 80%, relief of pain as a result of this patch with no narcotics, no medicines in it, period. Which means I can use this patch, an anti-inflammatory, a muscle relaxant, some ice, some heat, and I can control the overwhelming majority of pain in my patients after surgery. There are some herbal supplements that I suggest as well, such as turmeric. There's another one called Boswellia. If you have a lot of bruising, you'll want to use something called Arnica montana, helps with bruising. There is a supplement called N-acetylcysteine, at least 600 milligrams a day. Drink lots of water with that. If you have access to infrared sauna, that helps. If you have access to, like YouTube, for example, just Google search 528 hertz healing sounds, and you'll see a dude with a Tibetan bowl just banging a bowl. That sound is healing as well. It helps organize your body. Sound helps you organize this process. And the wrong sound will put this process into chaos. Okay, so where you recover, what you listen to when you recover is extraordinarily important. Okay, reduce your stress. Right, so cortisol and the sympathetic nervous system are very, very bad to the healing process. They're very good to surviving the initial injury and then very bad to the final outcome. So your job is to harness the sympathetic nervous system to survive and then immediately switch over into the healing parasympathetic system. And in some people, that's very hard to do. That's kind of what the point of this lecture is. If you can purposefully try to reduce your stress by way of meditation, worry, do some stretching exercises, go to church, anything that it is that you can do to relax, this auditory classical music tends to help reduce stress. The peace patch from Super Patch is it's just par none. I mean, like, there is no comparative relaxant. A lot of anti-anxiety drugs are narcotics. So in the postoperative period, if you're taking a narcotic for pain and you're taking a anxiolytic for your stress, how are you gonna get out of your bed to the bathroom and not fall and break your hip? That's a real problem, and it happens. There are thousands of people per year in hospitals recovering from injury and surgery who fall out of a bed because they have narcotics on board to help them sleep, to help them with pain, and to help them with stress. And so I am spearheading a study using super patch technology because there's no narcotics. Can we save 1,000 people actually 10,000 people per year die as a result of one of those falls? 10,000 people between nursing homes, recovery, rehab places, in the hospital fall out of bed, hit their heads, and die in America. 10,000 people. So if using this technology saves 10% of falls, you've just saved 1,000 lives per year. Okay, so that is my mission as a physician. It's one of the reasons I am now on the medical board at Super Patch, and we start that study soon. We're in the IRB process in our hospital system, so I'm kind of excited about that. Other ways that you can help mitigate stress: exercise if you can do it. And I understand you're injured, so there's a limitation, but do your best. Get better sleep, sleep hygiene. There are some adaptogenic herbs such as ashwagandha, ginseng, and something called rhodiola. These are herbs that help blunt the stress response. Okay. And then, of course, the peace patch is just money. That's worth every penny of it right there. These patches are sold in packs of 28. That's 4 weeks worth of therapy. And if you get a recurring account, an account where you recur ship, then you perpetually get a 25% discount. They're normally marked as $60 per month or per pack of 28. Your first order is 25% off, and if you get a recurring shipment, then that's perpetually 25% off, so you can save money. So you're talking about something that costs a little over $2 per day. I typically will wear a couple of these patches. The Liberty patch and the Peace patch are the two for gut health that I suggest. If the flu comes along, I always have Defend patch laying around. If I can't sleep, I always have a REM patch laying around. And so, and it literally, if I wore all four of these at the same time, that is about the price of is it, do they call it venti? Is that the super large one? You can't call it large at Starbucks because that's tiny. They call the giant one a venti, and some of that's double digits in the modern era. And some people do that every day. And I'm saying, get a cappuccino machine for your house and make yourself your own out of more natural ingredients, and then utilize these patches. It is absolutely worth the income. The company is very good at shipping, getting things out to you very quickly, and they're very good at refunds and whatnot. You do have to give them an accurate address. They're not responsible if you screw up the address. So I've had a few people contact me, and that's like out of my hands. I can't help you there. Okay, so how do you heal yourself when you've had an injury? The first is to educate yourself. Step one, listen to me, your friendly neighborhood colorectal surgeon. Step two, food freedom. Learn how to eat properly. What is a clean diet? What's the best way to naturally control your blood sugar? What are different ways that you can help reduce your stress, improve your sleep? I am a firm believer in biometric testing. You can test your microbiome to see if you have good microbiome intestinal health. And then the company that I suggest called Viome, Viome, does offer great nutritional advice on what to avoid and what to consume for the next 3 to 6 months to help you heal your microbiome. I'm also a fan of continuous blood sugar monitoring. It is enlightening, whether you're injured or not. If you just want wellness, that's enlightening. There are links to both of these companies at my website, which is dranatoker.com, under things I love. And of course, you'll also see a link to Super Patch, which is this vibro tactile technology that I speak of every week, that I believe is revolutionary in terms of healthcare, and you don't need to reach for a drug that alters your brain. You can actually improve your brain without being aware of it, which means you can function completely and improve your basic metabolic functions and what we call homeostasis. So, Super Patch is not there to treat any specific disease. Just like I'm not here today to diagnose or treat any of your diseases either. We're simply here to educate you and then also help your body heal itself because it truly, truly can. Going forward, starting here, I'm gonna stop sharing so you can see my face for just a second. So next week, I believe, is the 4th of July. And we are going to do something a little bit different. Just no one's going to wake up at 6 in the morning on 4th of July. Okay. To listen to a biology lecture. Really? So I'm just going to post a video next week, but it is going to be educational with a friendly neighborhood colorectal surgeon twist to it. It does involve how France, England, America, and your ass can sometimes collide historically. True statement. And that's a little story time for 4th of July. And then going forward, we will start also incorporating a lot of microbiome education to the channel and promoting our new, as of July 8th, our microbiome product called Zyve 7 comes onto the market. And so my role was Zyve 7. I did help create part of this formulation, but more importantly, my job is to coordinate the educational aspect of it. You can achieve extraordinary health and wellness, but you gotta fix your gut first. Fix your gut, you gotta make a few changes to your diet, just a couple of little changes. And we'll keep reinforcing that as the weeks go on. Until next Super Patch Bullpen, which will be in 2 weeks, I'll see you then.